So it might not seem like it, but when you totally put yourself aside and ignore all of your feelings and needs and emotions because you think it makes you be a good mom, it actually makes you be more selfish. It's true though. Let's talk about why. So I hope that this video helps you to stop feeling guilty about having boundaries or being able to take care of yourself well. This is my goal for you. So the first reason I want to say that when we ignore ourselves and our needs and our emotions and our inner life and our private world, it makes us more selfish is because whether or not we ignore these needs, they call out. They call out. They're like, hello, you have not showered in 5 days, and other such things. Sometimes our needs get so strong, we just can't refuse them. I know some moms, I'm a certified baby and toddler sleep consultant, some moms have almost fallen asleep walking down the stairs holding their little one asleep at the wheel. We will go to almost any length to avoid feeling like we're selfish moms, but then these needs that we're ignoring, they cry out to us, or the need to be alone. If you feel this intense need to be alone, but you're like, I'm not gonna do that because I'm a selfless mom, I'm going to put my kids above myself every time, which of course is all of our like noble goal. What happens when you get around your kids a lot? You totally space out. You ignore them. You want to scroll. They're talking and you're like, la 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 la, because you want to be alone. I have a whole video on why it's so hard to be present that I'll put in the iCard and in the description, but this is partly why. So don't think that if you just ignore your needs, they just like go away and you've like won the game of selflessness. You lost. You lost it. You lost the game because the needs cry out anyway. My second one, just gonna be like super unpopular. It's fine. This is me, Rachel, saying what everybody knows is true, but nobody wants to say. I'm gonna take all the heat. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it because it's true. The second reason, ignoring ourselves and our boundaries and martyring ourselves and just pretending like our needs and wants and preferences don't matter in an effort to serve, save. That was a Freudian slip. We do it. We actually do try to rescue everybody else like we wish somebody would rescue us, but nobody shows up to rescue us because we're adults and we need to take care of ourselves, and when we don't, to my point number 2, we actually become bitter and resentful. Now, let me explain. We are an adult. We are in charge of taking care of ourselves. Like, we know that we're in charge of taking care of our kids. They can do some self-care and some life skill things for themselves, but of course we're there to take care of them, right? And we know this. According to the government, we're responsible for them, and from our own hearts, we're responsible for their hearts, and we want to help them to grow and develop into these lovely children. But nobody's responsible for us but us. So we sort of think, I have to take care of them. Surely somebody's gonna like show up and take care of me. And then when nobody does, we feel bitter and resentful because we feel like I was tired and nobody helped, or life was so busy last week and nobody fixed it, right? So when we put off and we put aside and we think, I'm just not gonna do any of that, I'm selfless, I'm so noble. What actually happens is we get bitter and resentful at the very people that are sort of, we feel are taking away from our ability to take care of ourselves. This is not conscious. This is subconscious. Consciously, we're like, forget about myself, who cares? Whatever, I was obsessed with myself till I became a mom and now I'm forgetting about myself. Subconsciously, we're like, na 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 boo boo. No, I'm still here. I still exist. You still have to deal with me. And I'm not talking about like bad parts of ourselves or like sinful parts. I'm not talking about things like that. I mean our basic ability to be okay. If we are basically anti-okay, we are like A-okay, we are not okay, there is nobody gonna show up and take care of that but us. And if we don't, we begin to be bitter and resentful. Bitterness and resentment and anger are big signs that something's going on we've ignored. On this note, I wrote a whole book called If Mama Ain't Happy, Why Minding Healthy Boundaries is Good for Your Whole Family, and I'll link that in the description below. But part of that, of learning to take care of ourselves, is actually doing the little things day in, day out to do that. And I've created a whole tracker for you that's a free printable. It's like a self-care tracker. You can get that at my website, amotherfarfromhome.com/tracker. I'll link it below. The third reason ignoring our needs and our inner worlds makes us more selfish is because when we consciously refuse to meet these needs and take care of these things, we actually begin to want to subconsciously escape our life. We begin to find all these little ways that we're gonna escape. It's like, I don't know. As soon as the kids are occupied, it's like we wanna run somewhere else and be alone. Or if we see a device, it's like, here, get on this device. I have actually a video I put up in the iCard on screen time do's and don'ts and how to use those for your own benefit and the kids' benefit. But essentially, we start just finding ways to escape. And I did this a couple summers ago. It was like the longest spring break in the history of the world. You know what I'm talking about. And by the end of it, when it was time for the kids to go back to school, I was so past it. We live near the beach, so with this beach cottage, I called my mom. I was like, come get your 5 grandkids. Oh yeah, somehow you're responsible for this. You come get all 5 of those grandkids. I called my husband and I said, I'm not coming home for the foreseeable future for an indefinite period, which should end at some point, although I'm not gonna tell you when it's gonna end because I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it was a couple of days, and yes, I'm privileged. Don't try to, like, I don't know, insult me in there, I don't know, whatever. Yes, it was great that I could do this, and my family had saw that I was about to crack, and so they were like, okay, you do you. But this is what happens. This is an exaggerated example, but we will get here if we just ignore ourselves forever. We will eventually sort of crack and try to escape life. The 4th reason ignoring ourselves makes us more selfish is because when we refuse to, now when I say refuse, I mean we sort of think it's not right, so we don't do it. But so when we kind of refuse to meet our own needs and take care of ourselves and mind our own boundaries and everything, we're basically putting the onus or the control of our well-being on others. You didn't like that? This is what we're doing. So if we're like, I'm not gonna make sure that I'm okay, it's like you're putting it on somewhere else. It's like some outside circumstances are gonna happen at some point. I'm not sure when, I don't have a watch on. At some point these things are gonna happen and I'm gonna be okay. But that's not how it works. Things don't just happen in your favor to make you okay. What we have done when we have totally ignored ourselves is we've abdicated responsibility for ourselves off onto, maybe it's our kids. Maybe we think if they would just do XYZ, I would be okay. If they would sleep, I would be okay. If they would stop waking up a million times in the night, whatever, I would be okay. If they would stop arguing all the time, I would be okay. Well, these are actually things that are under our control to a large degree. And so when we put off taking care of ourselves and put it all on the kids, what we start to see is anything that they do, oh, this is bad. Y'all aren't gonna like this. I don't like this either. But still, it's our life. When we are not okay, all these little annoying things that normally we could just be like, chill mom, don't care, they start to drive us absolutely crazy. And then so it's like we're so triggered by the little things other people do, they make us even worse. And then it's like we're, again, our entire well-being is on if other people do whatever would keep our nervous system in check. I really hate saying these things, lady. I hate it. I hate it, but I'm trying to say it to give us permission to take care of ourselves. You have permission. You have to give yourself permission. Like, you just gotta say, I'm going to make sure that I'm okay. So my last point is when we martyr ourselves, in my book, I go into like sort of the definition of selfishness and selfish ambition. So I'm not talking about this idea we need to put our life and our dreams and everything we want in front of our family and just like, of course. That is the exact opposite of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when moms ignore their basic things that would make them be okay or not, just in an effort to try to be a good mom. So my last point is that when we try to ignore ourselves to be a good mom, it's actually life stealing. And I'm gonna tell you why. Is because when we are tired and depressed and stressed and worn out, and then on top of all that, we feel very guilty for feeling bad. I really go into this a lot in my book because this is really the cycle. It's like we feel bad because we're just not okay. And then we feel very horrible because we're not okay. So we feel horrible twice. And this actually has tons of negative energy. This is tons of negative emotions. And you cannot have them all inside, but then be like, oh, children. Nobody buys it. The kids don't buy it. They know it's not true. They know it's not genuine, right? And so I think this is a whole nother topic for another video. I got this whole video I'm gonna do on why positive parenting is sometimes fake parenting and ain't nobody buy it. You don't buy it, the kids don't buy it, ain't nobody buy it. That's gonna be a really horrible video. But anyway, back to my point. It's negative. When we're feeling negative, it just sucks the life out of the room, right? When you don't have peace, you can't give peace to your kids. And I mean, in a fundamental sense, we can't give peace to anybody else, but you can't create an environment of peace. You can't make an environment of something that you do not have. What you're going to make an environment of in the home is just stress and irritability and frustration, and that's not what you want. That is the opposite of what you want. So when you ignore yourself, you think it's gonna help the kids, but actually it makes you really unwell, which makes you unable to be the mom that you want to be. You're just not able to do it. So what I just want to encourage you is just like very uplifting to end this video. If you feel like the way you are right now is just to ignore yourself, I just want to say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. If this really resonates with you, make sure to watch my next video on why it's so hard for moms to be present. And no, it is not because you're just mindlessly scrolling. Or if you are, it's not because you like it.